Hello and welcome back to Whiskey Wars. My name is Sean, and tonight we'll be reviewing another budget rye, and that is George Dickel Rye. Let's get into it. Okay, so here's our bottle for this evening, George Dickel Straight Rye Whiskey. And of course, George Dickel is probably the second largest Tennessee whiskey distiller, right next to Jack Daniels. And George Dickel has been distilling since 1870, so long history there. But this is a rye, and this actually does not come from the George Dickel distillery. It's actually sourced from MGP. So this is actually MGP's 95.5 rye mash bill. So it's 95% rye. So a very high rye indeed. So of course that means that it's actually distilled in Indiana, not Tennessee. But nonetheless, we'll get into this. Just a few things about this that are kind of interesting is it is chill filtered, which typically I don't prefer, but we'll see how it goes. And also, of course, because it's from Tennessee, it's charcoal mellowed. And of course, that means that it's went through the Lincoln County process of filtering down through a lot of charcoal over many, many hours. And that does change the flavor somewhat. All right, well, with all that said, let's get this thing poured and see what it's all about. So decent color there. Hold it up to the light so we can see it better. Yeah, nice amber. It is a little on the lighter side, but as most ryes go, they are a little on the younger side usually. Now, this is my first pour of this. I let the bottle open up a little bit. I just had the top off. Let's let some air get into it. I did the review, so hopefully it's opened up a little bit, but this is the first pour, so just something to keep in mind. Let's see what we get on the nose. All right, so on the nose, very similar right away to the High West Double Rye, which of course is the same rye mash bill from MGP, the 95.5. But of course, the High West Double Rye has some of High West distillate in it as well. But on the nose, though, very similar. So you're getting that kind of green tea, that kind of spearmint. I want to say definitely some anise, some clove. One other thing, this bottle was requested by Jack. So Jack, this next sip we got coming is for you, buddy. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get into the tasting notes. So similar to the nose, the tasting notes are very similar to the High West Double Rye as well. I would say that this is not quite as sweet as the High West Double Rye. The High West Double Rye has more of kind of a spearmint bubblegum kind of note that you don't get in this. This has some of those darker notes that you expect from a Tennessee whiskey, kind of those charcoal, muddy, kind of dirtier notes. And I guess that doesn't sound appealing, but in this, it actually helps it out because the High West Double Rye to me is just a little bit too light. I like darker notes in most whiskeys, bourbon or rye, or otherwise, really, whether it be Scotch, etc. So I think the charcoal mellowing in this situation actually helped it out. So you get definitely get the green tea, definitely getting that mint note, but you're also getting kind of some brown sugar notes, some caramel notes, a little bit of black pepper in there as well. There's even like a little hint of vanilla. And then you are definitely getting that anise note, that kind of slight licorice. It's not quite as licorice forward, though, as the High West Double Rye. I will say that. And there is kind of that spearmint gum note, but it's not quite as prominent as in the High West Double Rye. So just some differences between these two MGP, which I know that isn't their current name, but some differences between these two MGP 95.5 ryes. Let's go on for our second sip here and see what else we can get. One thing I will say about this that is somewhat different from the High West Double Rye, at least in my memory, I'm sorry I'm comparing them so much, but they are very similar. One thing that is different, though, is that the finish on this seems to disappear faster. Not that the High West Double Rye has a long finish, but the finish on this is very short and kind of forgettable. Also, there's just kind of a general sweetness on the finish. Just a hint of spice. There's not much spice on the back end at all. Really not much spice throughout the palate or much of any of it. There is a slight peppery note, and that's about it for spice. You're not getting a lot of those kind of cinnamon, just kind of baking spices. There's not a whole lot of that going on, at least to me, as you might expect from a rye. So not a lot of the rye spice showing through. All in all, though, I think it is a decent sipping rye, especially at the price point it's at. This was $27, I think. So on the higher price point for all the budget ryes we're comparing right now, but still definitely a budget rye. So with all that said, for a rating, I'm going to go, I would say there's things I like about this better than the double rye, and there's things I don't like about it as much. And so with all that, it kind of balances out. So they're basically about the same to me for a rating. So I'm going to just say a 7, like the double rye. They both have their strong points and their shortcomings. So maybe you can buy it yourself and try it at home and see which one you prefer best. But they are quite similar. With all that said, though, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this review. I hope it's helpful when you're out looking and searching for these ryes. And if you did enjoy it, then please hit that like button. And also, if you want to see more reviews from me, then you can click right here for more reviews. And if you're really enjoying the channel, then you can subscribe right here. Until next time, folks, just remember, you can never have too much good whiskey.